Sometimes in life, we hold on to people, situations, or even memories that have long expired their place in our journey. We keep watering dead plants, hoping they'll bloom again. We hold on because we think letting go means losing a part of ourselves. But here's the truth: letting go is not losing. It's choosing you. It's reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace. When you focus on yourself, you stop chasing people who are not meant to be in your life anymore. You stop explaining your worth to those who cannot see it. You stop breaking yourself into smaller pieces to fit into places you've outgrown. You cannot heal while holding on to what hurts you, because every time you think about it, talk about it, or replay it in your mind, you are reopening a wound that has barely begun to close. And what you don't realize is that the weight of what you're holding is heavier than you think. It's not just a memory, it's not just a name or a face. It's a constant reminder that keeps you emotionally stuck in the very place you're trying to leave. And the truth is, you cannot build a new life on the foundation of old pain, because that pain will always seep through the cracks and poison the joy you're trying to grow. It will cloud your vision so you can't see the opportunities in front of you. It will whisper lies that you are not enough. And over time it becomes a part of your identity until you don't even know you are without it. And that's dangerous, because you were never meant to be defined by what broke you. You were meant to rise from it. But rising takes strength, and strength takes space. And space only comes when you let go of what keeps you down. Yet so many of us hold on because we fear the emptiness that follows. We fear that if we let go, there will be nothing left. But here's the reality: nothing feels empty forever. In fact, emptiness is where healing begins. Emptiness is where you rediscover yourself. Emptiness is where you hear your own voice again without the noise of the hurt, without the echoes of what they said or did. But you can't get there if you keep going back to drink from a well that has already poisoned you once. You can't expect the same environment, the same people, or the same situations to suddenly become the source of your healing. They can't, because they were the source of your breaking. And sometimes you want closure, you want an apology, you want them to see what they did. But even if you get all of that, it won't undo the pain, because closure isn't something they can give you. Closure is a decision you make for yourself when you say enough is enough, when you stop looking for explanations and start building boundaries, when you stop asking why they hurt you and start asking why you kept allowing them to. And I know that's not easy to hear, but owning your part in holding on is the first step to taking your power back. Because once you see that you're the one still keeping the door open, you also see that you're the one who can close it. And closing it doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It simply means you love yourself enough to choose peace over pain, to choose growth over comfort. Because yes, pain can become comfortable if you've lived in it long enough. It becomes familiar, and familiar feels safe even when it's killing you slowly. So you have to break that attachment. You have to teach your heart and mind that safety doesn't come from familiarity. It comes from truth, and the truth is you deserve to live without constantly looking over your shoulder for the next wave of hurt. You deserve mornings where your first thought isn't about the people who left scars on your soul. You deserve to see yourself beyond the role of a survivor and step into the role of someone who thrives. But that version of you is waiting on the other side of letting go. And I know your hands might shake when you release what you've been holding. I know your heart might ache when you watch it drift away. But there will also be relief. There will also be lightness. And in time, you'll wonder why you carried it for so long, because you'll see clearly that the person you were holding on to, or the situation you kept revisiting, was not the key to your healing. They were the lock keeping it from you, and you have always had the key in your own hand. You just needed the courage to use it, and that courage is born the moment you understand that holding on is costing you more than it's giving you, that every day you spend clinging to what hurts is another day you delay the life you could be living, the love you could be giving to yourself, the joy you could be experiencing in its fullness. And when you finally decide you've had enough, when you choose to drop the weight, you will feel something you haven't felt in a long time. You will feel free, Free not because everything is perfect, not because the memories vanish overnight, but because you're no longer chained to them, and that freedom is the soil where your healing grows, where your strength returns, where your smile becomes real again, and from there, everything begins to change in ways you couldn't imagine while you were still holding on. Not everyone is meant to walk your entire journey, and the sooner you accept that truth, the lighter your heart will feel, because life is made up of seasons, and in every season different people play different roles. Some enter your life like a gentle sunrise, bringing warmth and light. Others arrive like a storm, shaking everything you thought was stable and secure. But whether they come with sunshine or rain, their presence serves a purpose, and that purpose isn't always forever. Yet we make the mistake of thinking that every person we meet is meant to stay by our side until the very end. So we fight to keep connections alive long after their time has expired. We pour energy into relationships that have stopped growing. We keep answering calls that leave us drained. We keep showing up for people who no longer see our value. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to meet the ones who are meant for the next chapter of our lives. The truth is, some people are teachers, not partners. They were sent to teach you resilience, patience, self-worth, and maybe even the strength to walk away. Some people are mirrors reflecting back the parts of yourself you needed to confront and heal. And some are simply bridges helping you cross from one stage of life to another. But once you cross, you don't need to keep standing on the bridge waiting for it to become something it was never meant to be. The pain comes when we resist this reality, when we hold on because of history or loyalty or the fear of starting over. We think letting go means dishonoring what they once meant to us. But it doesn't. It means respecting the role they played without forcing them into a role they were never meant to fill forever. You see, journeys require different companions at different times. A mountain climber doesn't take the same tools for every terrain, and in the same way, you don't need the same people for every season. Sometimes the people who helped you survive one stage of your life are not equipped to walk with you into the next stage, and that's not a judgment on them. It's simply the way life works. But because we grow attached, we ignore the signs that the connection has run its course. We ignore the growing distance, the lack of understanding, the misalignment of values, and we keep pretending nothing has changed even when everything has, because it feels easier to hold on to the familiar than to step into the unknown. Yet the unknown is where growth lives. The unknown is where the people who truly match your energy are waiting. The unknown is where you discover the strength you didn't know you had. And when you learn to let go gracefully, you make room for those divine alignments to happen. You stop blocking the blessings meant for you, because yes, holding on to the wrong people can actually keep you from meeting the right ones. Imagine clinging to a closed door so tightly that you don't notice the open one right behind you. Imagine dragging the weight of expired relationships into new opportunities and wondering why those opportunities never flourish. It's because the energy you carry into them is still tied to the past. Letting go is an act of faith. It's saying, I trust that my journey is unfolding exactly as it should. I trust that the right people will walk in when it's their time, and I trust that the ones who left did so because their chapter was complete. And in that faith, there is freedom, there is peace, there is a sense of alignment that allows you to move forward without bitterness, without resentment, without replaying the past over and over in your mind. Instead, you can look back with gratitude for the lessons and look forward with excitement for what's to come. You can acknowledge that just because someone is no longer in your life doesn't mean they didn't matter. They mattered for the time they were meant to matter. And now it's time for both of you to continue your paths separately. This is one of the hardest truths to live by, because it requires you to let go without always having a clear picture of what comes next. It requires you to be okay with unanswered questions, to release people, even when you still love them, and to accept that love is not always enough to keep someone in your life forever. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set them free, and set yourself free too. And when you finally accept that not everyone is meant to walk your entire journey, you stop forcing connections, you stop chasing people who don't match your pace, you stop trying to revive relationships that have already served their purpose, and you start walking with an open heart and open hands, ready to receive the ones who are meant for where you're going, not just where you've been. And that shift changes everything. It changes how you view endings, it changes how you approach new beginnings, and it changes how you value yourself, because you understand that your worth is not tied to who stays or who leaves. Your worth is constant. Your journey is yours, and the right people will never need to be convinced to walk it with you. Your energy is your currency, and spend it wisely, because every single day you wake up with a limited amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy, and how you choose to spend it determines the quality of your life. Yet so many people are careless with this currency. They hand it out freely to people who drain them, to situations that go nowhere, to arguments that solve nothing, to proving themselves to those who have already made up their minds. And the result is that by the time they try to invest in themselves, their dreams, or their growth, they are already bankrupt emotionally and mentally. You have to realize that energy is not infinite. It needs to be protected, nurtured, and directed with intention. And that means being mindful of where it flows, because every conversation, every thought, every decision is an investment, and not all investments bring returns. Some will leave you in deficit, some will strip you of your joy, and some will keep you stuck in cycles of frustration and self-doubt. And when you continue to pour into people or situations that give nothing back, you are essentially funding your own exhaustion. It's like trying to fill a leaking bucket. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays full. And that's why boundaries are not just a concept, they are a necessity. Boundaries tell your energy where it is allowed to go and where it is not. They remind you that not every text needs a reply, not every conflict needs your participation, not every person deserves access to the deepest parts of you, because access is a privilege, not a right. And yet too many people think saying no makes them selfish, when in truth saying no is one of the most self-respecting things you can do. You have to understand that your energy fuels everything: your focus, your creativity, your resilience, your health. And when it's drained, your entire life feels heavy, unbalanced, and unfulfilling, which is why you must learn to audit your energy. Ask yourself, who leaves you feeling lighter? And who leaves you feeling drained? What activities fill you with purpose? And which ones leave you feeling empty? What habits strengthen you? And which ones slowly chip away at your peace? Because once you see clearly where your energy is going, you can start redirecting it into places that give you more life instead of taking it away. This also means letting go of the need to convince people of your worth, because convincing is one of the most energy-consuming things you can do. It requires constant performance, constant proving, constant chasing, and at the end of the day, if someone can't see your value without you explaining it over and over, they're not meant to benefit from your energy at all. It also means releasing relationships that require you to shrink yourself to fit, because every time you dim your light to make someone else comfortable, you are paying with your energy, and the price is far too high. Your energy should be spent on building yourself, learning new skills, pursuing your passions, caring for your body, strengthening your mind, nurturing your peace, because these are the investments that pay you back over and over. They create a life you don't need to escape from. They create a version of you that is confident, whole, and fulfilled. And when you start spending your energy on yourself, you'll notice that the wrong people will naturally fall away, because they can no longer feed off what you no longer give them. You'll also notice that the right people will be drawn to you, because healthy people respect healthy boundaries and value mutual exchange, not one-sided taking. But this requires discipline. You have to be willing to stop giving energy to gossip, to negativity, to resentment, to things you can't control, because those are black holes that swallow everything you pour in without ever giving anything back. And sometimes the hardest part is that these black holes can be people you love, but love alone is not a reason to allow someone to drain you. Love must coexist with respect and balance, otherwise it becomes another form of self-neglect. So start treating your energy like the currency it is. Guard it the way you guard your money. Be intentional about where it goes. Demand a return on your investment in the form of peace, growth, and joy. And if something or someone consistently costs more energy than they give. It's time to close that account and move on, because your energy is too precious to waste on what doesn't build you. And once you start spending it wisely, you will feel the difference. Your days will feel lighter, your mind clearer, your purpose sharper, and you'll look back and wonder why you ever spent so much of your most valuable currency on things that gave you nothing but emptiness in return. Letting go makes space for what's truly yours, because life has a way of rewarding those who create room for blessings to enter, yet so many of us keep holding on to what is no longer meant for us, and then wonder why nothing new and fulfilling is showing up. It's like keeping your hands full of things that have expired and still expecting to receive something fresh. You cannot take hold of what's meant for you. If your grip is still on what's over, you cannot step into the next chapter if you insist on staying in the last one. Every relationship, every friendship, every opportunity has an energy, and when that energy no longer matches yours, it becomes dead weight, and dead weight doesn't just slow you down, it blocks the flow of what's supposed to come next. Imagine a closet overflowing with old clothes that no longer fit, but you refuse to let go of them because of the memories attached or the fear that you might need them again one day. And then, when you finally see something new and beautiful you want to wear, there's simply no room to put it. The same happens in life, holding on to people who don't respect you, holding on to situations that drain you, holding on to versions of yourself you've already outgrown. These all take up the space that could be occupied by healthier relationships, better opportunities, and a more fulfilled you. But because we cling to the familiar, we delay the arrival of what's truly meant for us. We convince ourselves that keeping the old is safer than risking the unknown. Yet the unknown is where our real blessings are hiding. It's where the love that values you lives. It's where the opportunities that match your gifts are waiting. But you have to make space for them, and making space means release. It means looking at your life with honesty and asking yourself, what am I holding on to just because I'm afraid to let it go? What am I keeping around that no longer adds any joy or growth to my life? And am I willing to trust that letting go will not leave me empty but open? There is a difference between empty and open. Empty is what happens when you lose without healing. Open is what happens when you release with faith. And that faith is knowing that life is abundant, and that what's meant for you will not pass you by simply because you decided to remove what was blocking its path. Letting go is not a loss, it's an invitation. It's saying to the universe, to God, to life itself, I'm ready for better. I'm ready for what aligns with my spirit. I'm ready for what feeds my soul and honors my worth. And yes, sometimes that release will hurt. Because even things that are bad for us can feel good in moments. Even people who are not right for us can still hold pieces of our heart. And sometimes what we're letting go of isn't bad at all. It's just no longer aligned. But holding on to what's misaligned will eventually turn it into a burden. Because anything you force beyond its natural time becomes heavy and unnatural. So you have to learn to trust timing. You have to believe that if something is meant to be in your life, it will fit effortlessly without you having to break yourself to keep it there. And if it's meant to go, its absence is creating space for what's next, and that next thing might not show up immediately, because sometimes the space needs to be empty for a while to prepare you to receive it, to teach you patience, to allow you to grow into the person who can handle it when it does arrive. And during that in-between time, you will be tempted to go back to what you release simply to fill the silence. But silence is not your enemy. Silence is where you get to rebuild yourself, where you get to become whole without needing the thing you let go of. And when you've rebuilt, when you've healed, when you've grown, the things that enter your life will match that wholeness. They will complement your growth instead of demanding that you shrink to fit them. And that's when you'll understand why the letting go had to happen, because you'll look at what you now have and realize there would have been no room for it before. You see that the love, the peace, the opportunities, the self-respect you carry now could not have coexisted with the chaos you were once clinging to. You'll see that letting go wasn't about losing, it was about making space for something far greater than you could imagine, while your hands were still full. And when that realization comes, you'll stop fearing endings, you'll stop doubting the process, and you'll start releasing with trust, knowing that every time you let go, you're clearing the path for what's truly yours to find you, and stay focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's necessary, because there comes a point in life where you have to choose between constantly pleasing others and finally taking care of your own needs, and too often we are taught that putting ourselves first is wrong, that it makes us arrogant, self-absorbed, or unkind. But the truth is, when you consistently put everyone else before yourself, you end up running on empty. You lose touch with who you are. You give and give until there is nothing left. And then you wonder why you feel resentful, burned out, or invisible. Focusing on yourself is about recognizing that your well-being matters, that your dreams are worth pursuing, that your peace is worth protecting. It's about understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot be the best version of yourself for anyone else if you are neglecting yourself at the core. When you prioritize yourself, you are not shutting others out, you are simply setting boundaries that ensure your energy is not depleted beyond repair, boundaries that tell people where your limits are, and boundaries that remind you that your value is not measured by how much of yourself you sacrifice for others. So many people fear saying no because they think it will make them less loved or less accepted, but real love and acceptance do not require you to betray yourself. Real love celebrates your growth. Real love respects your limits. And when you start focusing on yourself, you begin to notice who in your life actually supports that and who only benefits from your lack of it. Because the people who truly care will cheer for you when you take time for yourself. They will encourage you when you invest in your goals, and they will respect your decisions even when it means they don't always get what they want from you. The ones who resist or guilt you for focusing on yourself are often the ones who benefited most from you having no boundaries, and that's a truth that can be hard to face. But once you see it clearly, you can make better choices about who you give access to. Focusing on yourself also means investing in your growth. It means learning new skills, improving your health, feeding your mind, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, and letting go of those who drain you. It's about aligning your life with your values, and not being afraid to walk away from situations that force you to compromise them. It means taking time to rest without guilt, because rest is not laziness, it's preparation. It means being intentional with your time, because you understand that time is life, and wasting it on things that don't matter is a form of self-abandonment. And it means looking at your life and asking if you are truly living it for yourself, or if you are just moving through it trying to meet the expectations of everyone else. The shift happens when you realize that your happiness is your responsibility. No one else can give it to you. No one else can create it for you. It comes from the choices you make every day. It comes from how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself, and how you allow others to treat you. And when you focus on yourself in this way, you begin to glow from the inside out. Your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, and your life begins to align with who you truly are instead of who you think you have to be for others. Yes, there will be people who call you selfish for it, but remember that selfishness is about taking from others without care or consideration. Focusing on yourself is about giving to yourself so you can live a life of purpose and be able to give from a place of fullness, not depletion. It's the difference between constantly running on fumes and driving with a full tank. One leads to burnout, the other leads to sustainability and joy. And when you reach that place, you will understand that focusing on yourself is not about shutting the world out. It's about showing up in the world as the best possible version of you, because you've taken the time to heal, grow, and protect your peace. It's about building a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. And that requires courage. It requires breaking old habits of people pleasing. It requires facing the discomfort of disappointing others in order to stay true to yourself. But the reward is freedom, freedom to live authentically, freedom to love deeply without losing yourself, freedom to say yes when you mean it and no when you don't, freedom to create a life that is rich with meaning and joy. And when you stand in that freedom, you will inspire others to do the same, because nothing is more powerful than a person who chooses themselves without apology and lives fully because of it. So let them go. The ones who cannot see your worth, the ones who keep taking and never giving, the ones who were never meant to walk the rest of the road with you. Focus on yourself, pour into yourself, heal yourself, because the moment you stop chasing what's not for you, you give what is for you the chance to finally find you.